Hey, welcome to another video. Now, this is going to be a very big topic. I'm going to be talking about the nervous system and neurons. Okay, forward of the nervous system, it's basically a communication network that controls all other systems of your body. Okay, so example, digestion and your circulatory system. Okay, there are two main parts to it. Okay, number one, the central nervous system. Okay, this is usually written, abbreviated as CNS, central nervous system, okay? Made up of the brain and spinal cord, okay? It basically receives and sends signals, information to the rest of your body, right? That's number one. Number two, it's called the peripheral nervous system. PNS for short. Sorry, peripheral. That's made up of nerves, okay? Basically made up of nerves that carry messages to and from the CNS and other parts of your body. Okay. Now the nervous system is made up of trillions of nerve cells. Okay, these are called neurons. Okay, NS for nervous system, made up of nerve cells, trillions of them. These are called neurons. Okay. So neurology, if you've heard of neurology, if you've been to a hospital and you've seen signs like neurology lab, that's where they study and work on the nervous system patients, okay? And these carry electrical impulses. Electrical impulses or messages, okay, called nerve impulses. Nerve impulses from one part of the body to another. Now, there are different parts of a neuron, okay, different types as well of neurons, but let me just write down the different parts. Different parts of the neuron. Okay, number one, got the cell body. Okay, this contains the nucleus, the control center. Number two, dendrites. These branch out from the body cell. Okay, they receive messages. Number three, axons. Okay, these they send nerve impulses in only one direction. Okay, and you have axon terminals. This is where they pass messages to another neuron. So there are different parts of the neuron. There are two common types of neurons. Okay, the first type is a motor neuron. Second type is a sensory neuron. Now, both of them have the same components, but they have a different structure. Okay, I'll only talk about one in this video. So here's what a motor neuron looks like. Now, these are the axon terminals. Okay, terminal, to terminate means to end. Okay, ends here. This is an axon. This is the cell body. Does look like a cell. And coming out of the cell body are these branch hands looking things, branches or hands, dendrites. Don't know how to spell anymore. Dendrites. Okay, that's a motor neuron. Now, when the nerve impulse reaches the axon terminals, there's a chemical called a neurotransmitter that's released into the space between neurons called a synapse. Okay, let me draw it here. So, say that's a dendrite here, and let's say that's the end of an axon or an axon terminal. Got the pulse traveling this way. In between, this region in between the gap is called a synapse. Okay, neurotransmitters. As I mentioned, there's a chemical called a neurotransmitter that's released into the space between neurons. Okay, basically a neurotransmitter carries a message from axon, okay, from one neuron to another neuron. Okay, and the dendrites receive the chemical messages. Right, so these things here, they receive the chemical messages and send it off as an electrical signal. Okay, and the differences between a neuron and a sensory, the difference between a motor and motor neuron and a sensory neuron is as follows. So motor, sensory. Okay, these carry motor impulses, electrical signals, right? These carry sensory impulses. These have a long axon, remember this thing here? These have a short one. These have no receptor. These have a receptor. Okay, this only has one long dendrite. This has many short dendrites, and you'll see, I do apologize, I can't really draw them properly because of my terrible drawing, but these are actually in your booklet somewhere, right? Use a different one. Now, neurons are actually covered with an insulating layer. Okay, these are called myelin sheaths. Okay, sheath is like a protective material. Okay, neurons are covered with these. Should also mention now parts of the central nervous system that contain neurons covered in myelin are called white matter. Okay, parts of central nervous system with neurons covered with these things. It's called white matter. Okay, whereas the parts that contain mainly cell. Sorry, let me repeat that again. Parts of the CNS that contain neurons covered in myelin are called white matter. Okay, otherwise it's called grey matter. Now, the outer parts of the brain, okay, are mainly made up of grey matter. Now, where you've got diseases, right, of the nervous system, you've got things like multiple sclerosis, okay? Multiple sclerosis. This is a disease where the myelin sheath breaks down, right? You've also got motor neuron disease. So, I don't know if you know Stephen Hawking, the late Stephen Hawking, the scientist in a wheelchair, had this disease. Okay, messages from the motor neurons don't go to the muscles. Okay, so you lose sense of movement. You can't move. I also want to talk about responding to changes in environment. Okay, now a simple model of the nervous system is a stimulus response model. Okay. Now, when you touch something hot, right, or sharp, you automatically pull your hand away, right? This is called a reflex action. Okay, it protects the body from damage, and your body doesn't rely on instructions from the brain. Okay, it does it automatically. So let's say you have the sun. This is the stimulus. Okay, the stimulus, it stimulates the sun. Okay, you're standing here. Okay, you've got temperature receptors in your skin. The sensory nerve, this sends information to the brain, right, via the sensory nerves. And then the motor nerve, you've got a motor nerve, which tells you to take off your jumper, right, because if it's hot, because of the heat. You have another motor nerve that tells you to sweat, okay, begin sweating. Sends information to your sweat glands. The last thing I want to do is, last couple of things, I just wanted to talk about the comparing the central nervous system as a summary with the peripheral nervous system. Okay, remember the central nervous system, the central bit is the brain and spinal cord. Your peripheral nervous system consists of nerves. Okay, your spinal nerves, your peripheral nerves, whatever, whatnot. Okay, and the central nervous system has various sensors located within it. Okay, it carries out data processing and whatnot. whereas this thing is much more scattered throughout the body. Okay. I want to talk about as well the somatic nervous system. Okay, this is basically part of the peripheral nervous system. It's associated with voluntary control, okay, of body movements via skeletal muscles. So associated with voluntary controlled body movements via skeletal muscles. So muscle coming off your skeleton, right? Now the somatic nervous system, so the receptors in the somatic nervous system are basically, so as I said, they're located in the skeletal muscle. Okay, it joins organs, okay, and sense organs together, like the ear and the nose, how they're connected, right? One more thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about the brain, okay, the communication center, the brain. Okay, it's part of the central nervous system, part of the CNS. Okay, coordinates and controls all your body processes, as you know, right? Contains millions of neurons that are connected, linked together. The main part of the brain is called, okay, let me actually draw a schematic of the brain. So a side view of the brain is what it looks like. The main part of the brain is called the cerebrum, this bit. Cerebrum coordinates muscles and thoughts, consists of two halves, right, two hemispheres, left and right. So this is probably the left. If you're looking at it side on, this is the left hemisphere. This is the cerebellum. Okay, this controls the circulation, coordination and body movement. Okay, posture and your balance is controlled by the back of your head. That's why if you knock someone out the back of the head, they'll lose their balance and they'll collapse. And then you've got the medulla. Okay, this controls processes such as blood pressure, right, and your heartbeat. This is the brain stem, right? And that's what I'm going to talk about in this video.